Welcome to Exponentially Elevate Your Leadership Impact, the podcast for women educators who are ready to lead boldly, live authentically, and multiply their influence. I'm Dr. Stephanie Duguid, a 30-year educator, speaker, mentor, educational leadership expert, and best-selling author. My passion for leadership started early, influenced deeply by the strength, grace, and unwavering work ethic of my mother, a 40-year high school teacher. She showed me what it means to lead by example, with purpose, resilience, and heart. And that legacy fuels everything I do. I've spent my career empowering women in educational leadership and creating this space for individuals just like you, purpose-driven, passionate, and ready for more. Each month, we'll welcome incredible guests to explore mindset shifts, leadership strategies, and transformational stories, all grounded in my signature leadership dance framework to help you lead with clarity, confidence, and unstoppable impact. So let's get started and exponentially elevate your leadership journey by empowering women educators to serve with goodness, lead with greatness, and educate with impact. Today, I am so excited to have two ladies that I have known for a while now. They are Megan and Ellie, who are co-owners of Zestful Media and Design, where they help entrepreneurs build businesses that are both beautiful and profitable. After leaving behind burnout, unpredictable income, and toxic 9-to-5 jobs, they each discovered the power of systems, strategy, and design to create freedom and stability for their families. In January 2025, they teamed up, Ellie bringing the back-end strategy and automations, and Megan bringing the brand identity, web design, and funnel expertise. Together, they've built a six-figure business as brand, web design, and funnel experts doing done-for-you services for female entrepreneurs. And now they're starting to teach other service providers how to build a successful business of their own using the exact strategies they use to scale to multi-six figures. Megan and Ellie, I am so excited to have you here. So welcome.
Thanks. It's great to
Thank
be
you so
here.
much.
So, those listeners might be thinking, well, they're not in education. So what's going on here? But I want to say that Megan and Ellie, I have been working with them for my own business, coming out of education and now into business. And what they do also empowers women. And so that is exactly why we're here today, because it's not just an education where you can have that empowerment opportunity. It's also how we have these wraparound services that can support women in any area, whether it's through their educational institution, maybe they have a side hustle because education has been known not to pay very well. So this is an opportunity for us to share the support that you can have outside of an institution with individuals who are so supportive and so great at what they do. So let's first start. What sparked your passion for helping women become these amazing, incredible, marketable entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so for me, it personally started. This is Megan, by the way. For me, it personally started that I was in new home sales. I was doing real estate, and I love the marketing aspect of doing new home sales. And a lot of my fellow realtors loved that I loved marketing because they didn't love marketing, they loved sales, and I didn't love sales. So it was very much like I realized that I'm more fit to do something else with my life than to be selling new homes. And I really liked the fact that I could help people. When someone was like, "Hey, can you help me make a marketing flyer?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do it." And so the business actually just started because people were asking for my help just in my normal corporate job originally, And then I quickly realized, like, hey, I love what I'm doing. I could get paid to actually help people in their own businesses. Might as well try it. And that was just kind of the spark of it. So.
Well, and it's just like in education, a lot of times you find the people that have certain strengths. And that's exactly what you found your strength. And so why not develop that strength as you go forward? And
Yep.
so, Ellie, I think you were similar as well, right? So you have a tech background. Tell me how that came about with working with women in entrepreneurials and working with Megan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I worked in corporate for, a little over a decade, and I did mostly technical work, project management work, and working with developers and automations. And so when I was having my first child, long story short, that environment and the job I was at was not a great fit for me to have a family. And so I ended up kind of diving into entrepreneurship, and I'm so grateful that I did because, now I have two sons, but I love the freedom that it has provided, as well as being able to bring in income for my family, but also be there. I get to pick them up from school. If they're sick, I get to go, help them if they need to call out from school or whatever it might be. And I always wanted that, right? I wanted to be there for my kids, but also be able to have a career. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really got into kind of helping other women grow their careers as well, because I wanted to help provide that for them, right? Empower them, like you mentioned, to build that career if that's something that they're interested in, and have it be on their terms and their schedule and in an area that they are an expert in, right? And that's kind of what I started to do with my tech background, is that was the area I was an expert in. And then Megan and I were working together and also taking some different programs together, and it just felt like a natural fit when we combined last year.
Well, I've worked with both of you all individually, and of course, I've worked with both of you all together, and it's like this powerhouse. It's like the power couple, if you will. My husband and I, people call us the power couple whenever we were in the educational sector, because he was career tech and I was academic. But I see you all as the power couple in supporting women on their journeys of developing their entrepreneurship. So whenever you talk about this, was there a moment, was there a defining moment that you said, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. I really want to shift into this other piece. And I think that you both have specific stories, because I know women in education, they also have a shift, whether it's from, being faculty going to administration, or whether it's like, you know what, I want to help on the outside of typical administration, looking in with some other support services. So what was your shift, Megan, if you want to share yours first?
Yeah, so I think my shift was realizing that I don't have to do everything alone. I had grown my design business kind of by myself for the most part, just had one assistant help me with just some marketing things. And I'm a military spouse, so we move a lot. And it got to the point where my business was steadily growing, but I needed to take off some serious time to be able to do a big cross-country move and take care of my son, very similar to Ellie's story. And that's when Ellie kind of came in and started helping me in the back end of my business. And we worked kind of as her, just helping me out. And I would do some random design things for her too, for her tech clients. And it just very came like we should just be working together all the time. Like it just very much became clear, like, as you said, we're kind of more of a power couple if we're together. And we could then stay in our zone of geniuses, like, or yeah, is that the right? Yeah.
Strengths, whatever you
Yes.
want to call it.
So we decided, it was actually back in like November, December timeframe of 2024. And we were just talking about the things we were investing in for Black Friday, like more mentorship that we were personally investing in. And the thing that I was investing in, Ellie was a little interested in it. And the thing that Ellie was investing in, I was a little interested in it. And we're like, what if we just took what we're going to be building separately and just do it together and see what happens, And so it started off with just like, oh, I want a little piece of that. Oh, I want a little piece of that. Let's try it out. And it's been amazing. So I think needing more flexibility and wanting to free up our times and kind of stay with what we wanted to do. And then obviously realizing like, oh, the other person has really great ideas. Let's combine them and let's go after our dreams together. So it's been great.
Love that. Ellie, you have anything to add to your shift of when you
Yeah,
all
I
came
mean,
together?
my shift about is more like when I decided I really don't want to go back to corporate. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I could, but like really making that decision, like this is where I'm going to put all my eggs into my, basket, if you will. Um, because it's just been such a better fit for our family and a better fit for me as a person. And so I just said that's not one of my choices. And so I'm going to go for this dream. And I'm just really grateful that I committed to it and kind of did everything that I could to make it happen. And, Megan and I teaming up has really just been like, it proves to me that I chose the right path, like because
Right.
things have been falling into place as you go down this path. And I feel so grateful because, especially even now as a duo business owner, we still do the same thing. It's like, this path feels good. Let's go down it. Let's see what happens. And then we can always adjust. And, as we continue to work hard and go down those different paths that can help us grow our career, we've had amazing things happen. So my shift was, back when I decided like, this is it, I'm not going to go back to corporate.
Well, and I think that in the educational space, that happens a lot with women as well. We love education. We do it because we have a passion for supporting students or for supporting learning or whatever it might be. But you find that in a lot of places, you're trying to not only focus on the strengths, but in some places, they don't care about your strength. They want you to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
And so what I love is that you are giving that outlet and that opportunity to women who are finding their strength and their passion, and you're helping them grow it and develop it. So one thing that I had to do, and this is for me, is as an educator coming into a space where now I have a business where I do the speaking and the authorship and all of those other things. I've had to change my mindset. I've had to change it from teaching everything now to how do I draw people in so that they want to work with me. So, were there any internal mindset shifts that you all had to have in order to grow into the strong pair that you all are now? Were there any mindset shifts that you had to make in order to make it to where you are now? Because I remember, Megan, you told us that in your first couple years, you didn't make very much,
Mhm.
and you had to find ways to grow it. And so trial and error, but
Yep.
you also had to shift some things.
Yeah.
So talk
So,
about
yeah, in the first few years of my business, I made like less than $20,000 a year. And that was because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't realize that there were other people out there that was willing to like help you get to that next level. So when I ended up getting pregnant during the pandemic and then had to take care of my son during a cross-country move, it was just like, I need to figure stuff out. I can't be just wasting my time and just being like, oh yeah, like $16,000 a year is really cute income, like that's not going to pay our bills and help grow our family's life. So I had to just get really smart. And it was really much just coming to terms with like, you don't know what you don't know. And you need to go figure out what you don't know and work with people who have already been there. And so investing in mentorship back in, I think, 2020, 2021 timeframe, truly, if you look at a scale of like how our income has increased over time, like that was the catalyst, is first just admitting to myself, like, you need to go find the people who have the answers because you are clearly don't have them all. And
that.
then the next thing was those mentors said you have to put yourself out there more. And it was very much like, okay, like the things that seem scary, if I really want to grow my income, I have to face that and I have to do it. And people will say, oh, Megan, you're great on master classes. I get terrified of master classes. I get so nervous. And it was a skill that I had to push through, and I had to put myself out there. And so realizing that you have to get uncomfortable for growth was probably one of the biggest mental shifts that I had to make to really get to where we are now, for sure.
You just hit on three things that are very parallel in education. So the first thing is mentorship, is that, if you don't exactly know where you're going, or you feel like you're floundering, or you don't feel like you're growing, find a mentor. And you have to find one that works for you, because not all mentors are the same. But that is something that I truly believe, is that mentorship can change your world, really, if you get the right individual. You also talked about being scared, and fear is a true piece of growth, because you are afraid of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen next. And so getting uncomfortable with where you are, and actually uncomfortable with those first steps, is the first opportunity you have for growth. So I love that everything you said, for anybody that's listening, it is parallel to everything that's going on in the educational space. And so, Ellie, were there any mindset shifts that you had, or did you have to kind of step away and go, all right, I'm doing all of these things, but I really need to reconnect with what I love? Maybe you didn't love the design stuff, but you were awesome at the tech stuff. So, how did that work for you as you were coming into the space? Because you guys, I mean, it's like you guys have worked together forever, just the way that you all partner and go back and forth. You know your zones and you know your lanes, and I love that. So, Ellie, anything to share?
Yeah, so I actually started out in a different area. I tried to coach, before I kind of started doing all of the tech backend work for different entrepreneurs, and it really did not take off. It was
Yeah.
not successful. And so then I was actually in the same mentorship program Megan was talking about, and that's how Megan and I met. And that mentor gave me the advice like, you are really good at tech. Why don't you just do the tech for other entrepreneurs? And I said, if they will pay me, I will do it. Because I was desperate to not go back to corporate and so scared I was going to have to, because I couldn't make it work. And so she gave me pretty much my first client from a contact that she had, and I got paid very little. And from there, like, things kind of took off gradually, of course. But, that was my starting point, was being able to get those first clients and then have them be like, you are incredible. I've never worked with a tech person who's so fast, who's so good, who's, knows all of the different systems and, so on and so forth, which was,
you can explain things in normal terms.
Yeah, right. You can explain things, which was a huge boost to my ego, because the biggest like mindset shift I've been going through, and still am to this to that day, if I'm honest, is a little bit of imposter syndrome. Thinking like, well, I should only be charging X, when really the work that I do is worth so much more. And saying like, my expertise is worth this amount, and we should be charging it. That's what's industry standard. That's what everyone else is charging, and that's what people are showing as, like, if you want someone really good, you're going to be paying those rates, right? And I just basically never raised my rates ever, and was happy to have the work. But if I really want, to Megan's point about not making very much each year, if I really am here to support my family, I had to overcome that imposter syndrome so that I could, not be working every hour of the day and still be making good income for my family, which is what I need. So
well, and again, you have also hit on several things that most women in educational leadership experience. One is the imposter syndrome. And so many times, and I've suffered from it as well. And so many times, we look at women and they tend to stay stagnant in their positions. They don't always want to move up. And if you look at women who apply for positions compared to men who apply for positions, whenever there's an open position, a man will go like, yeah, I'll go for it. It doesn't matter if I don't have any of the credentials. I'll go for it.
yeah.
But the women are like, you know what? I only have 8 of the 10, so I'm not quite going to go for it yet, when they would be incredible at that next step.
Right.
And so a lot of it is building that confidence and having, seeing what an amazing person you are, as you mentioned, Ellie, just getting some positive feedback from others that are reinforcing what everybody else already knows, gives you that confidence to kind of step out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you all had one piece of advice that you would give to people, if you're thinking about where you were, a few years ago, in whatever time frame you're thinking, what is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who is thinking about stepping out on their own leadership journey, whether it's to step out for their own personal business and maybe do something with you all, or whether it's stepping into a new position? Is there one piece of advice that you would share?
I think that goes back to just like the big mindset shift I made, when it's just to realize like you don't know what you don't know, and that there are people out there that are willing to give you their knowledge and their time if you are willing to take it and ask for it. And so I encourage everyone to just kind of do a reflection, whether it's in your career or if you're trying to start a business, whatever it is, and be like, what's holding me back, and where could I go if I had the answers? Reflect on that, and then go looking for people or looking for resources that have those answers. And it can make all of the difference. I think we have to sometimes get over ourselves a little bit. Maybe it's from a place of ego, or maybe it is a place from imposter syndrome. It could be both, and really think hard about, what do I need to get to the next step? And probably you have to invest in it in some way, shape, or form to get there, and being willing to realize the greater gain if you do take that investment.
Absolutely. Ellie, do you have any leadership lessons or lessons learned along the way?
I mean, the biggest thing that comes to mind for me is just to take the first step, right? If you've been thinking about something, if you are passionate about something, if you have a expertise in an area and you're ready to share it, or whatever it might be, take the first step. And then that step leads you somewhere else. And that step leads you somewhere else. And then you end up going down this path. So I feel like you don't have to have the end goal totally figured out when you start, because everything on your path will lead you to that end goal. I started in a completely different area than I'm working in now, but this is the business I was meant to have, not what I originally thought I was trying to do. Mm-hmm. But I had to take that first step and fail, quite honestly, on that first business opportunity to find this one, and to be able to, move forward with something that has been successful. And obviously it doesn't have to be a business opportunity, but whatever it is, that you're thinking about doing, just one step at a time.
Well, and again, you both have hit on some very strategic pieces that I actually focus on in my mentorship and everything that I do with individuals. The first is reflection, because most people think that reflection is when something has gone wrong, let's reflect and see what happened. But reflection is so much more powerful than that. It is, as you said, Megan, what's holding me back, or what do I need to do? And for Ellie, you said, you just have to take the first step. So it is thinking about what is it that I'm passionate about that really makes me feel good and that I would do for free, right? I would do this for free, but I would want to get paid. I hope I can get paid. And so reflection is such a big part of growth. And it shouldn't just be every so often. It really needs to be systemically. It needs to be systematically, on a regular basis, weekly, every Friday, whatever it might be. If you have your morning coffee and you want to reflect on the previous day, or your evening, shutdown routine, whatever. But also with goal setting, Ellie, you were talking about taking that first step. And a lot of times, and this happens in institutions more often than not, is they have this lofty goal that they're trying to work towards. But there's so many steps and so many processes that you get lost in the space. And so I always encourage individuals, do quarterly goals, even a monthly goal, and just start with 3 at most, no more than 3. And it's not just the goal, but you also have to break it down between the processes and the habits. And that's something that you all do so well with building your own business. I can come to you and say, I really want to offer this to my clients and customers. I want to speak to this group, or I want to offer them this resource so that they can grow in their leadership. And you say, yeah, that's awesome, but we've got 64 steps that we have to take to get there. But it's taking those baby steps. And so for me, going from education into a business space where I am now was such a different animal. And so for me to reflect and go, what do I need? And I said, I need Megan and Ellie because I've seen them in the past, but I've seen where they can take me from point A to point B. And it has just been such a fun journey along the way. And I love, Ellie, that you talked about failure. A lot of people think failure is just that it's horrible, but it's not. That is, 1, your opportunity for growth. And 2, now you've just found a way not to do something, right? So let's figure out how to take it the other direction. And so as you've gone through all of these systems and these changes, and one thing, I like working with you all because I think your mind thinks very similarly to the way my mind, very logical, analytical, checklists, boxes, all of those things. And so what strategies have helped you all along the way as you've grown? So are there any strategies, are you finding that more people like the check boxes, or more people like it more, loose and fluid and open? So what kind of has worked for you all along the way in your business?
I think we definitely attract people just like you, Stephanie, who are very like, I need a plan. I want the plan. What's the plan? Let's execute the plan. And we're like, great, we can do that for you. And it's funny because in our mentorship program, every single person is an educator or somehow
That's
tangentially in
right.
like education realm. And so we definitely do that. And we also attract like a lot of nurses as well who are really wanting to break out of their career and grow somewhere else and grow and help their own clients. And
Mhm.
they're very much like, we don't know what we need, but we know we want to do it right. They're educated women. They know that there are processes for things and they want the correct process. And that's what brings them to us. And
Mhm.
so we definitely attract that for sure. I don't think we also don't think we drive very much with the truly free spirits who change their minds every single day. I think that actually Ellie and I, when we talk about the clients that we have that maybe fall in that category, we're like, it's a little rough, like
Yeah.
let's just stick to the plan. But yeah, for sure.
I, I have some in mind, so that I've been in their groups with. So, I mean, I love the strategies and I love the checklist, but I've also watched both of you have patience. And so when with myself and with others, when we don't understand something, you all keep showing us and you keep guiding us and you keep redirecting. Or if we've had to step away because life takes a detour and we've had to come back, you've been very supportive. And I think all of those things are the same in education. Is if you have somebody that is willing to see the person they're working with as a human, and we're humanizing everything, it's not just task oriented. then I think that that's one, how you build relationships, but that's also how you grow and flourish. And that's exactly what you all are doing for all the women that you work with, is they start in one space, but then when they realize, you help them make that shift. And a lot of it is through reflection. You do a lot of questioning. You ask for them to dive deep into what they're doing and why they're doing it. I mean, it took me forever to fill out some of those questionnaires because I'm like, I don't know, I just want to do it, but I have to tell you the whys. So as you go through, how do you prioritize your decision making when you're pulled in so many directions? As a new entrepreneur, I have 5,000 different decisions that I'm making. And now that you all have been in business for a while, how do you prioritize those decisions? I know a lot of planning goes involved. Can you give us any overview or ideas about how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Megan and I meet regularly, but specifically, we meet at the beginning of the year to try and figure out what are our big goals for this year, which we just did for 2026. And then we break it down by quarter, and then we break it down by month, right? So if we're looking at in January, these are the things we need to accomplish, then what is it going to take to just reach those January goals? In February, what is it going to take to reach our February goals? And we really plan out, just that one quarter, January, February, March, in detail. And then we revisit it. We say, okay, at the beginning of the year, our 2026 goals were all of these things. Q1 is about to come to a close. Do we still feel that way? What are we going to do in Q2 to reach those big goals? And definitely we adjust, you know what I mean, as things change throughout the year and different opportunities come our way. But I think that making that original plan helps us be able to stay on track for what our big goals are and be able to make the right decision when we're saying, what's the next step for us? Or what do we want to invest in? Or where do we want to spend our business money? It helps us be like, well, this was the big picture and this is still where we're going. Does this align? And if it doesn't, then that isn't our number one priority. And if it does, then we fit it into our schedule.
Well, and you've said a couple of things here. We talk about that big lofty goal, and again, so many people have those goals and they think that if they don't reach that goal that they have failed. But I love that you said we break them down into months and quarters and we review those to make sure it's still in line. Because as you mentioned, even with your careers, you kind of shifted and you're going on a different path or a different direction.
Right.
So, I want to share with anyone who's listening that this is very normal. This is what is supposed to happen. Don't force the issue if it's not really where you want to go. Make sure that you have those big goals, make sure that you reflect, and make sure that you adjust along the way. The other thing that I've noticed about both of you in working with you is that you try to make all the activities and projects we do very holistic. And what I mean by that is it's not only the detail that's going into the copy or the content, but it's also how it feels. And you're also looking at here's the income potential. And you're also looking at, here are some of the buzzwords or the keywords that you should be avoiding or that you should have in there. And so, what I've enjoyed working with you is you're not just telling me, take this and use it. You're saying, here's a foundation to work with, make it your voice, make it your brand, make it your own, but we're going to give you something to work with so that it's not that blank page that can work for you moving forward. So was that done intentionally is my question, to make sure that it's very holistic? Is that always done intentionally, or is that just like amazingly done because you're just that good?
No, it's not because we're just that good, even though now I'm starting to think we are. No, just kidding. But it actually stems from realizing that if we chose to be in a business or could grow a business for flexibility and freedom with our families. But we also don't want to be miserable. Like if we want to be miserable, maybe we go back to corporate. Like we're built this thing to have flexibility. We also want to enjoy it. And so going back to, I used to sell Rodan and Fields back in the day, and they're like, you have to DM people, you have to cold friend request people. And I'm just like, that feels so icky to me. I don't want to do it, And so there are things that just didn't align with my personality that a lot of the big names will say to do that you have to do. And I'm very proud to like have grown a business, and we haven't gone viral on TikTok. We didn't have to do the cold DMs. We didn't pay for paid ads to make the first like $300,000 in our business, So we've been able to grow it authentically to ourselves where we still enjoy our business and we like what we do. And so we want that for other people. We want you to we also know that if you don't like doing the things that we tell you you have to do, you're not going to do them. So like what's the point of even putting that out there on the table? And we don't know your business and everything that you can provide like you do. And so it needs to be authentic to you. It can't be the Megan and Ellie version of your business because that's not authentic. We can
Mhm.
tweak things, just like how we worked on you with your copy about being more educational versus you need to market yourself, and we can pull that out of you. But we're never going
Mhm.
to have you say something that you would not actually say, or have you do something that you would not feel comfortable doing because what's the point?
Mhm.
And so we really do try to make sure that you're building a business that you're happy with because talking back to goals, we had a goal number that we wanted to hit in 2025. We didn't quite get there, but we looked at everything else that we set out to try to accomplish last year and we did it. And so, like, I
Mhm.
felt really good with that. It might not have been the number that we hit, but we did everything else. And I enjoyed last year. Like, I didn't hate my life. I don't think Ellie hated her life. So, like, that's a win. And I see that that's just going to keep growing? And so, it's intentional to try to get people to think about their business in their own right because it's their business. It's not anyone else's. They have to do the work every single day to grow it. We can't do it for them. So we might as well give them the foundation that fits them, not us.
Well, and I love that you said that it has to be authentically you. And that's one of the biggest things that I talk about in leadership as well, is that so many times you have a predecessor, and usually it's a male if you're a female stepping into leadership. And so you're wanting to copy or step into whatever they did, but it's not you. You're not going to be able to keep up with it. You won't want to continue doing whatever it is if it's not authentically you. And so one of my first shows, so this was about 25 or 26 shows ago, I had the chancellor from Arkansas University System on, and she said the best advice that she ever received from a leader is to be sure to always wear your own shoes. Because you're not going to step into my shoes, you're not going to step into your colleague's shoes. You wear your own shoes. So make your leadership journey all about your authentic self. And I've always loved that piece of advice. So, as you go through this, how do you stay motivated? Because I know that there's ups and downs in business. There are seasons in business. Holidays happen and people don't always do certain things. So, how do you stay motivated when maybe the results aren't coming in, or maybe something is not performing as you had hoped?
So, one thing that I actually really like about entrepreneurship is there are so many ideas and avenues and new things out there that you can try. And so, for me, it's all about like if we try something and it doesn't really land, well, okay, that's all right. But what's the next thing that could land? And let's go build that or let's go try that. And so, I really enjoy that because it's always changing, always shifting, never like stagnant and boring, which I am not all about, like clocking in, you know, just it, the corporate world is just very, anyway, my job was, gets kind of like
Stale, very
stale,
stale.
stale. That's the word. Yeah. So I really love that there's always something new that you can try. And it's always going to be like that just because the things that were working back in 2020 2021 aren't working anymore. So it's not only that maybe our business is shifting, but the landscape is shifting and the market is shifting and your audience is shifting. And so your offers will shift as well. But that's the beautiful thing is you can always create a new offer or a new opportunity, or maybe collaborate with a different entrepreneur that gives you that opportunity you've been waiting for. There's always something out there you can do, and that's exciting. So we keep doing it. We keep going after the next thing. So, and there's always like, even if something doesn't land the way that we want it to, it did get us something. Like every time we're able to go back and say, but we got this one client that was really great from that, even though it didn't go as well as we wanted, or but we learned all of this stuff that we're then able to use in the future, even though we didn't get exactly what we were hoping for from that endeavor. So there's
Mhm.
always something we take from it into the next thing that we're trying.
So, again, you've hit on several things that I want to go back and kind of summarize is that in business, just as in education, things are always changing. Students are changing. My gosh, the students, when I was a student, my gosh, we had, stones and sticks and stuff. I mean, it was really a long time ago.
Oh my
But,
God.
the landscape changes. the audience changes, the environment changes. And you just think about how COVID shifted everything, not only education, but also business, and how the online space grew so much. And so in education and in business, you can't stay stagnant. You have to grow with your clientele. And if you don't, you're going to be left behind. And one thing that we learned from COVID is that education too is a business. You can't just sit there and go, oh, I've got a school. Let's go to my school. There's so many other options now. You are not you are not focused, or you're not stagnant based on your zone anymore. Like elementary school, you live in the zone, you go to this elementary school. But as you get into high schools and colleges and universities, there are so many opportunities, online, on ground, hybrid. People from Alaska and Hawaii are taking classes in New Hampshire. People in Texas are taking classes overseas. So there are so many opportunities that you have to stay relevant, and you have to stay, we've already talked about, authentic. And so business is the exact same thing. And the other thing you shared is that although something didn't land the way you wanted it to, and Megan, you mentioned we didn't hit our initial goals, but you still learned something. There's still an optimistic, positive outlook, takeaway, something to learn, so that you can take that now and set your new goals and move forward. So all of this, although we're talking business and education, it is all so related. And I love that. So how do you identify, with all of this, with everything changing, how do you identify and pursue the next right step, whether it's personally or professionally? How do you figure that out when everything is always changing? You
It's a
know,
great question. And I don't know if we always get it right every single time. I mean, just like we just said, not everything lands.
that's right.
But I think it really depends on what is currently on our plate and what are we wanting to shift next in our business. So Ellie and I, when we first got together, I mean, one of the first conversations is we don't want to be always hands-on. We want to start taking a step back from doing done-for-you services. Okay, so then what do we have to do that? Well, we need to build a bigger coaching program that we can sell for a higher price point. So we're working towards doing that. And we're almost done with the rollout of the entire program, which is amazing. And
And
so,
huge.
yes, it's a big program. We're very excited for March to get here and us be officially done with all the content. And so we then go, okay, well, once this is done, how are we then going to get it out there, or how are we going to feed people to it? And so it's just as Ellie said, take one thing at a time. And we're constantly changing. I mean, we were talking about launching some freebies, some new freebies like 2 weeks ago. And now we're talking about, maybe we're not going to do so many free consults. Maybe we're not going to really push the freebies. Maybe we're going to go more into a structured like strategy session first to get people before we do done for you services. Like it's constantly changing, but it's because we have those reflection periods of like, are we still happy with how this is going? Are we optimizing our time? Are we optimizing how much money we could be making? And then we figure out, okay, no, like if we want more, we need to figure out the next step. And so it's constantly a collaborative process between the two of us of like looking for different ways we could grow, looking for things we should invest in ourselves in our business, and then just implementing all we already have in our toolkit in our own foundation. So yeah, so sometimes it's trial and error still, and sometimes it's really, really strategic.
Well, a lot of times, and I've kind of seen this in your flows, you start out with these freebies, and just like me, you need to offer something for free to some individuals so that they want to grab it, and then they get to know you a little bit better, right? It's building that know, like, and trust. And it's the same thing in a classroom. You don't really trust that teacher when you walk in there. You're going to take some time to build, to understand who they are, and hopefully learn their name. That's a whole other story. But whenever you do that, I can see how you're shifting from here's some free things to work with me to get some of these low ticket offers. But now we have this big base of individuals, and our reach has gone so far that now we have to tighten up that entrance point and really focus on, all right, who are the primary clients that are in our perfect space, that is our strength, that we can help them get to that next level. And so, I can appreciate that you all are at that, and I'm glad I came in early with you all so that I can continue work. And anybody listening now, join them now before you've got to work with Megan and Ellie. They are just awesome. But one thing I do want to mention is that so many people try to sign up for a program and they just want the program to do the work for them. I'll give you the information, the program will do the work, but you have to do the work. And I think I've seen that in, courses, whether it's yours or somebody else's, where you have these meetings with a lot of individuals and somebody will say, oh, well, where can I find that? Well, it's over in this space. Well, where can I find that? Well, it's down in this other course in this other space. Well, if you'd gone through the course, then you'd see, everything that's out there. So it's really, if you invest in something, I encourage you to take the time. And I've been a victim to this too, is I haven't always had the time to stop and do it right away. But back up and take the time so that you can go through everything in order, because it's built that way for a purpose. Everything is there. And if something is missing, then you can ask more questions, but everything is there. So, do you all ever do market research? And if you do, how do you do that? Or is it just you see what works and what doesn't, and then you go through it? Or do you just get feedback from your clients as to what they're wanting next? And all this really can jump right into the educational space as well. We ask students for feedback, we ask administrators for feedback, we ask other institutions. So, do you all do any market research, or how do you get your feedback to figure out where to go?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it kind of depends on what type of project. So, at the beginning of last year, we built a website template shop, right? And so, in order to do that, we first went out and looked at a bunch of competitors, right? Who has a website template shop? And we looked at what they were providing, what platforms they were providing them on, the price points they were selling them on. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so that was like a big area of market research because we knew what we wanted to build. And we said, let's go out and research what's in the market. And then we can build ours in alignment with our business and what we want, but also knowing, what our competition is doing. But I also feel like there's another avenue that we also take, which we're kind of doing right now, which is kind of like we say, this is our discovery period, right? Where we say, we know we want to take maybe our business to the next level, or we know we want to provide a new offering to our customers, or whatever it might be. And we go out and say, let's look at what's out there and what is available to us. And so, we'll sit in people's master classes and see what they're offering. If we're looking for a new coaching program, we'll look for people in the area that we're interested in receiving coaching on, and we'll dive into a whole bunch of different people who do that and see what they're offering. And so we'll go out and research what's out there and then decide, okay, this is the area we want to move forward in, and then we go and do it. So definitely just depends on if we are like, yes, this is what we're building, go do like specific market research, or hey, we need a new offer. What's going to be the most powerful for our customers? Let's go figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to piggyback off of that. It very much became very apparent to Ellie and I that like we can build you a logo, we can build you a landing page, we can build you a sales page all individually. But we know that those are just little tools and the full foundation you need to be able to grow. And I think we both got to the point there like, it's kind of churn and burn. We'll build it for you. It's going to be beautiful, but are they going to use it correctly? Are they going to put it out there correctly? And so that was one of the reasons why we wanted to have the coaching program so that we could offer the full foundation and see how all of the pieces actually come together versus just going and getting an opt-in page. It's like at this point in time, I think Ellie and I both get on free consults and someone says, I just want an opt-in page. And we're like, okay, we'll build it for you, but do you know how to use it? Like that's a whole other thing that you have to know how to do. And so building the long 6-month program was kind of our way to be able to support the people who wanted done for you, but then also needed to know the tools to how to use everything we build for them. And then also give the avenue to people who can't afford the done for you, learn everything in the correct order so that they can get to where they want to go. And so we did kind of a reflection on like, where do we feel like we're falling short, or like, where do we feel like we could help our clients even more? And that was one of the big decisions for the coaching program on top of, we don't want to be doing constant done for you services.
Well, and I'll say that when I started working with you, I think it was the Canva templates that I came in. It was something like that. It was a few years ago. I mean, It was like 3 or 4 years ago that I came to start working with you all. But I came in with the Canva templates because Canva was brand new. And I was at a college where I had to do a lot of design work in my position as a dean. I am not a designer. And so Canva was amazing, but I didn't know how to use it. And
Oh,
so that's how I came in to work with you. And then when I started seeing some things and I was going out on my own, I had made that decision. I said, oh, well, I probably need to have some sort of sales page or a funnel. And so you and I worked together. I did the sales page sprint. I learned how to build it. And I was also doing some speaking coaching pieces. And they said, oh, well, we'll do a website for you. Well, that was over here on this other platform. And then you have this other coach. Well, you should use this because this is what we use. And that was way over here on this other platform. And so before I knew it, as I was stepping out of my educational career and into my entrepreneurial career as a speaker, mentor and all these other things, there was so much about the business. I just wanted to speak and coach. I didn't necessarily know that I had to have all of these other things. And so over the past 2 to 3 years, I too have had parts and pieces, but I was never able to connect them. And so I will say that being in the 6 month coaching program with you all has opened my eyes so much. And I'm getting so much more confident with what I'm doing because it's not just, oh, you have a website that looks pretty and oh, you have this funnel that helps people get this free offer that's going to support them. But you also have to find a way to do your contracts and agreements. And you also have to find a way to get paid and how is that connected to your accountant? And, all of these, all the legal pieces, that's the part that I'm on right now. So all of those things, and it can be so overwhelming, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And so I love that you all have said, yeah, we had these parts and pieces, but we've got some individuals that want to connect it all. And now I feel like that I'm empowered to control all my stuff myself. I don't have to hire other people to do things. I don't have to hire somebody to which I did at first because I didn't know what I was doing. But now I feel like I'm in control of it all and I'm understanding the process so much more. And so that's exactly how it is in education. You learn about your major, you learn how to develop, you learn the business side of it, you go out and you are working in that area yourself. So this is the same thing. So for anybody listening, if you are thinking about jumping in to doing something that you have a passion for outside of your 9 to 5, I encourage them to work with you all just because of the way that you work with individuals. You make them feel seen and make them feel heard, and you usually have a way. And if you don't, you're like, oh, well, I need to go figure that out. And you'll let us know that of how to navigate everything. And so I just appreciate both of you all for doing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
But I do have more questions, a couple more before we're going to close out. I know this time has gone so quickly. We only have about 10 minutes left. So whenever you all are working, how, and Ellie, you mentioned this before, but I'm going to ask both of you. So how did you navigate and overcome the imposter syndrome or the moments of doubt along the way? So Ellie, you talked about having that imposter syndrome and, getting some of that confidence. And Megan, I don't know if you've ever had the imposter syndrome, come in, but how have you all navigated that? And what did you all do? And you might still have it, but maybe you're doing better. I don't know. So how have you navigated that process?
I mean, yeah. So for me, honestly, I was really blessed to work with some really great people who gave me great feedback, and so then that helps me feel more confident and know that, I was in the right space. I also think like just having that first client, gave me that confidence. And then eventually got a second client. Like for me, it was just kind of keeping going. And then just hearing such positive feedback from people and having like my mentors say, you should really increase your prices, or you should really, start a coaching program, or, do these things. They helped guide me to my next step so that I could feel confident taking that next step. And so I also think having a mentor who can look at the landscape for you and see what's out there in for our case entrepreneurship, but in your area of expertise, and give you feedback so that because I wouldn't have known what other people were charging, or what other people who had my same area of expertise were doing out there, and how I should be showing up myself. And so having that mentorship and then just gradually increasing my confidence as I got that positive feedback and more clients, I think really helped me.
Love that. Megan?
yeah. So for me, it was realizing, okay, well, one, I want to make more money. So how do I need to make more money? And everyone was like, you have to put yourself out there more. You're kind of hiding behind your social medias, behind your design work. Like it's great, but people need to know who you are. And so the first thing was to just step out and be like, okay, like I'm going to do this. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to go and build a Canva course. That was the first thing I did. And I'm like, how can I do a course? I'm not like a Canva ambassador. Like there were plenty of times that I'm like, do I know everything I know about Canva? And it was actually one of my clients who is a business coach. She always says you only need to be one step ahead of somebody to teach them something. And I was like, well, I know that I am way more than one step ahead in Canva than most people are. So if that's all it takes, then I can do that, you know? And I've just kind of kept applying it to my business is like we're helping people who have no idea about design, they have no idea about tech, like they need the help and they want the help and we're able to give it to them. And so that has definitely helped get over the imposter syndrome because I know that I don't want to say I'm above anyone, but you get what I'm saying. But like I know that there are people who need that. They need that level of support and we can give that. I also think this day and age, people are like, well, don't put, I'm scared to put myself out on social media, or I'm scared to host a masterclass or whatever it may be because my friends and family might judge me. It's like, if your friends and family are going to judge you about you trying to go make money for your family and to support your lifestyle and to support your goals, and they're not your friends and family, you know, like they shouldn't
That's
care.
right.
They should be cheering you on. It shouldn't like be a second thought to them, you know? And so I very much got to the point where it's just like, I don't care. Like if they're judging me, then they can judge me, but I'm making money for myself and my family, and we get to go on the vacations we want to go on. We get to buy the houses we want to buy. We get to do the things we want to do. Like, screw them, you know? That's
Yeah.
probably not the best thing to say on a podcast, but like, you know, don't let those
You're
people hold you
passionate
back.
about it.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about it. Don't let those people and what they could be thinking or what you think they could be thinking about you hold you back from going after your goals, you know?
And that's the key right there is that you don't know what they're thinking. And so you're inserting your own thoughts of what they're thinking about you. So stop, just stop. Just go and do what you need to do that you feel comfortable doing, that you are passionate about to support your own journey. And so I think that's what it's all about. And I'm learning that too, because I was like, ooh, I don't want to get out on social media. But you have to realize that your one picture, not everybody's looking at your one picture. There's so much out there. You know, every so often somebody sees you scroll through.
Yep.
So just put it out there. Just put it out there. And so I have three questions left. We've got a few minutes left. One is, do you have any routines or rhythms that help you show up consistently? Do you have any routines or rhythms that help you show up consistently? We've got 5 minutes. So we'll do this one. I'll do the last two questions and then we'll close out.
All right. So for me, one of the big shifts I had to make this year was I had to get up at 5 a.m. And I hate waking up early. Okay. So this is like a big deal. But it has really helped, right? It has really helped me be able to get up, get some work done before I get the kids to school. You know, I was just falling behind and I didn't want to be working like late into the evening or on the weekends or anything like that. And so that is one big shift that I've made is getting up early. And you hear it all the time. The people who, you know, getting up early helps so much. And
Early bird gets the worm.
exactly. Unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah. That's when I do the best reflecting is when the house is quiet and I'm up early.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mine
Megan, do you have
is
any?
I'm a to-do list girl. So I have an app called ClickUp where I put everything I need to get done in a day in the app and I just check them off as I go. And that really helps with my productivity. So I love it.
I use things like that as well, but I'm one if at the end of the day I didn't do anything on my list, I'll add things that I did to check them off so that I feel like I've done something.
If it works for you, go for it.
That's right. That's right. So I know that you all have some things you want to share. We've got about 4 minutes. And so I'm going to ask my last question first and then follow it up with the other one. So, what's next in your leadership journey, or how can you support those that are listening to us? So, is there anything that you want to share with those who are listening?
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're interested in our 6 month coaching program, definitely go to our website, book a free consult with us. We'd love to talk to you. If you're interested in done for you services, a website, funnel build, freebie opt in, branding for any kind of business, same thing, book a free consult. If you just want to get your feet wet, Stephanie already mentioned that we have free Canva templates. So, we're going to drop the link to that in this podcast, I believe. And so that'll be available for you guys just to click the link, you know, and you can have access to our 30 free Canva templates for anything that you need. They're specific for social media, but they're a great starter for anything that you could be doing in Canva. And we'd love to talk to you.
And so all of the information will be on the Voice America page and also on my website page whenever you click into the podcast. So all the information will be there. And so, Megan, any other final words of wisdom or encouragement that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, it is the new year. Go after your goals. Don't let other people hold you back. Don't let yourself hold you back. Just go for it. And if you need a plan of how you're going to do it, especially in the entrepreneur space, book a consult. We will talk some strategy with you to kind of get you like on the path of what you need to go to where you want to go, you know? So yeah.
Absolutely.
And so go ahead and share your website for those who are listening if they might not have access to the page right now.
Yep, it's zestfulmediadesign.com. So yeah, zestfulmediadesign.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram, Zestful Media Design.
Love that. Well, thank you both so, so much. I love working with you. I'm going to love to continue to work with you because you can't get rid of me that easily. So thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Exponentially Elevate Your Leadership Impact. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step on your leadership journey. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their wisdom, experience, and authenticity. If you've loved what you've heard, be sure to connect, follow, and continue the conversation. We're building a leadership movement, and your voice matters. If today's episode resonated with you, I invite you to grab a copy of my book, Exponentially Elevate Your Leadership Impact, a year-long journey to reflect, strengthen, and elevate your leadership, your weekly guide to confident, authentic, and purpose-driven leadership. It's available now on Amazon or through my website. If you're ready to go even deeper, whether it's booking me to speak at your next event, diving into the leadership program, or simply connecting, head to www.drstephanieduga.com. I'd love to hear from you. And let me leave you with this powerful reminder and my mantra that says, serve with goodness, lead with greatness, and educate with impact. Until next time, keep leading with heart, stay courageous, and always do good. Thank you for being here.